We got a good show coming up. I suggest everyone, if you can, share it. It seems Facebook is completely not alerting anybody that we're live right now. We're watching this happen in real time. I'm going to put this up on the Insta. Let's see if that brings some people. Be ready in about 1 minute. All right, people, let's do it. I don't care if you watch this on replay. I don't care if you, I don't care. I'm going to do what I got to do, and I hope people get to see it because the message is really good today. The message is basically, as per usual, like to go out with this and start it so everyone remembers this. If you cannot accept this, you are the problem. This apple here is a watermelon, and if you do not see it as a watermelon because people are telling you that it's a watermelon, you are a right-wing conspiracy theorist, or you're just completely insane. It doesn't matter who, what race you are, you suffer from white supremacy. And I'm going to show you this. Because why would I say it if I can't prove it? That would be stupid. That would make me the mainstream media, wouldn't it? Okay, so here we go. We're going to get right to it. Seems like I have some issues with my software. Everything's acting extremely, extremely bizarre. Okay, it's evened out. So let's start. Let's hit the ground running. Harvard study says reparations for slavery could have reduced COVID-19 transmission and deaths in the U.S. I'm going to go to an episode of South Park. Everyone knows I love South Park if you've watched the show. And in this episode, they show Magic Johnson, I believe it was Magic Johnson, and his cure for HIV was him grinding up money and eating it and injecting it. Because the joke is, in that case, that he was able to basically make HIV not realistic in his body, and the way he did that was through the amount of access of money he had. And it was the drugs. It was the option to get medications that he can afford. Right? So if reparations and slavery could have been reduced, reparations for slavery could have reduced COVID-19 transmission and deaths in the U.S. Is the cure for COVID grinding up cash and ingesting it? I don't know where these studies come from, and I remember once upon a time when I was growing up, everyone was like, Harvard, Harvard, Harvard. If you heard the word Harvard, it was success. It was a pinnacle of success. Now it's a steaming pile of feces. They want to take away people's law degrees because they didn't vote the way they wanted them to. Post haste, just remove it. Doesn't count. It's off the line, off the grid. Make any sense? No. None of this makes any sense. This world is cuckoo bananas, and I am sick of it. We're just going to keep talking about how ridiculous it is, because this is how I vent. If you hold it all in, you get really upset about it. I don't get upset about it. I look at everybody that doesn't understand that they're being played, and they're fully brainwashed, and I feel bad. I'm saying, wake up. I'm trying to be productive member of society. And if you can't wake up, I have to laugh at how weak-minded you can possibly... In Louisiana, the study found that slavery reparations could have reduced COVID-19 transmission in the state anywhere between 31% to 68%. How the fuck do you come up with these numbers? You want to talk about arbitrary? Did we take we're not even in a time machine. I know what happened. We're an episode of Rick and Morty, and we went to a different dimension where everything's the same, but there was reparations, right? And in this Rick and Morty world, and these reparations happened, there was still COVID-19, but on some days it was 31% to 6. Do you see that variation of numbers, 31 to 68, in such an arbitrary guess world that we're living in? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I need to get a Mugatu gift that's always ready to go. Are we not buying this yet? But how much reparations would one need? Well, they made their calculations with a model that would pay $250,000 in reparations per person, or $800,000 per household. What are the dates on those reparations? Since we have such a working number, and we know that it's 31 to 68%, the dates of... So what if somebody was born 3 months ago? Do they make the cut of reparations in the household that brings it up to $800,000? Also, what's the effects of all of this? Where does the money come from? Does that drive our country into full bankruptcy, which is the end goal? Because the people that are sleeping don't realize the end goal, if they are trying to start a great reset that everyone is publicly talking about: spam risk, decline. So what is the end game if you get all of this money out and then they look at you and go, but none of it matters anymore because we're going to a socialist restart where everybody starts status quo. Sorry for your loss. You've been played. There's no way to give all this money out. Also, if you want to give reparations out, how is it coming out of my tax dollars? My bloodline wasn't even here until well into the 1900s. No one of my family owned slaves. Never happened. That was not a thing. We were not slave traders. So when my bloodline came over from Sicily and Norway, how is this even fair for anybody? And if you say, okay, we can track down everybody that's been here, okay, how do you go about the how do you go about the inflation rate? Is this the rate that we're getting paid now, or is the family being reimbursed at a rate that would be going for what the job was when they weren't getting paid? I'm very confused. I'm wildly confused on how you come up with it. Live, where is everybody? You're being shadow banned. Exactly. I'm live right now and I am shadow banned. The purpose is, so I work directly with Max on their media, And I see a comment that came in on the Max feed, because there's two different feeds of this. And on the Max feed, somebody said that. And the truth is, this is how it goes. Some days, they'll let it go out, and you can see they decide to push it to more people that were live. And other days, they choose to not push it at all. Today's one of those days. And maybe it's because the title is Be Less White. But we're going to get there. And if that's offensive to anybody, well, you better boycott Coca-Cola because they told their employees to be less white. This is news, people. This is legit news. I'm just reporting it. But nobody wants you to know that. Why would they? So here we are. We're there right now. So, breaking, Coca-Cola is forcing employees to complete online training telling them to try to be less white. These images are from an internal whistleblower. Let's blow that up. Whoop. Okay, there we go. That's the last slide. Try to be less white. Okay, confronting racism, understanding what it means to be white, challenging what it means to be racist. To be less white is to be less oppressive, be less arrogant, be less certain, be less defensive, be less ignorant, be more humble, listen, believe. Oh, that's it. If you question anything and you don't just listen and believe, oh, shit, man, you must be white. Break with apathy and break with white solidarity. In the U.S. and other Western nations, white people are socialized to feel that they are inherently superior because they are white. Research shows that by age 3 to 4, children understand. Well, there used to be a day when I was around, right? When I was young, 3 or 4, and I did understand that everybody was the same and how to treat everybody. But man, did this world go and fuck it up. It did it real horror show, as they say. And they decided that there was this moment where all of this racism was actually not racist. And they brought it back. There was Ryan Long comedy on Instagram made an actual whole entire sketch about how the white people that are woke and the white people that are racist literally want the same exact thing because being woke is racist and being racist is racist. It's just the way that they talk about these things. So let's take a deep dive in, shall we? Okay, so images of the course were shared by psychologist Carolyn Barensko, whatever, I can't say her name, doesn't matter, it's irrelevant, an activist who is fighting against critical race theory, who obtained the images from an internal whistleblower at Coca-Cola. One of the slides in the course, titled Confronting Racism, states, understanding what it means to be white, challenging what it means to be racist. Okay, I've already read all of that to you. But here's a fun one. And I agree wholeheartedly with Candace Owens, as I often do. If a corporate company sent around a training kit instructing black people how to be less black, the world would implode and lawsuits would follow. I genuinely hope these employees sue Coca-Cola for blatant racism and discrimination because Candace Owens, who, if you don't know, is in fact a black woman, understands the real definition of racism, and this was racist. So the woke warriors are really pushing some sort of agenda here, and it's called totally destruction of society. Trying not to make anybody. And here we go. There's one of the liberal saviors, Jimmy Kimmel, and there he is in full blackface and body, and it says try to be less. Of course, you're going to get memes, people. Memes are all over the internet. But of course, Jimmy Kimmel gets a free pass because he hated Orange Man. Orange Man bad. He's famous. He's better than you. He's got a blue check mark. But let's see how crazy gets. Elderly Thai man in San Francisco killed by teen in unprovoked attack. If you watched this show, you would have known. I talked about it probably on February 3rd or 4th, maybe even the 2nd. Okay, so he was knocked to the ground on Thursday by an attacker, later identified as 19-year-old Antoine Watson. In the initial article, they never talked about what race Antoine Watson was. Nor should they. Every time unless there is proof that something is a hate crime, race should not matter. But of course, if the person doing the crime was white and the other person was any other race, it's white man does this. We've all seen it. We all know it to be true. And if you're saying that it's not true, you're a fucking liar. And I'll call that to your face about that. So we got to be on the same page. So what's true is true, okay? And factually, they never say, oh, black teen unprovokedly killed Asian man. No. Thai man in San Francisco killed by teen. Okay, so went and I actually did investigative journalism. I looked up San Francisco, Antoine Watson, and the only person on Facebook that can come up was, in fact, a black person. So I was like, hey, they left that out. But it doesn't really matter, but it matches why they left it out, because it wasn't a white person. And I wanted to see, I was hoping Antoine Watson was a white person, because that would mean they were doing actual investigating and actual headlines, not clickbait, or they were just doing the news reporting. But why was any of this important? Well, I was right. Antoine Watson was in fact and is in fact a black teen. Okay. Teen facing murder pleads not guilty in death of elder. Antoine Watson held an attack on 84-year-old victim. Okay, so here he is. He pled not guilty. Well, fair play. He thinks that he's not guilty. I don't know how, but okay. He's allowed to go and enter his plea any way he wants. Now, welcome to Crazy Land. Are you ready? Before I do that, I need to remind you, okay? This is a watermelon and not an apple. And you're going to see exactly why this meme is going to always be on the show. And you're going to see how whacked out things can get. And why they left out the fact that he was in fact a black teen. And where this can go if one doesn't have a brain in their head. Justice for Vika, I can't say his last name, I'm going to try, Ratanapikidi. I think that was pretty good. End the violence toward Asians. Let's unite against white nationalism. What? Hold the fucking phone. What?
That was easy.
What? Tell me this is some sort of mistake. Tell me. But wait! Nope, more graphics came out. But do not be mistaken. We can and must fight anti-Asian racism without being anti-black or pro-police. You can't be anti-black, pro-police, and it's anti-Asian racism, because BIPOC, solidarity, in the only way we can forget the root... Sorry. Solidarity is the only way we can forget the root cause of these attacks. White supremacy. This all comes back to white supremacy, even though there was nothing to do with white people in this attack. Are we fucking crazy? Are we not paying attention to what is happening right in front of our eyes? I don't even have an answer to where this is going. But in a society where it's okay to tell people you need to be less white, we just live in la la land. People just make things up. They just say things now. And if you don't agree with it, you're scared of being canceled. And of course, there's people that are waking up. Of course, there's people that are going to speak, and they're not going to care about this whole threat of being canceled, because if you can't speak, well, shit, you've already been canceled. That's the whole point. And if you can't actually say it's wrong to say that if a black person attacked an Asian person because of a race, they still have to make that motive. He could have just attacked an old guy and go to jail for manslaughter. It doesn't have to be racist to begin with. But if they can prove that Antoine Watson was out to attack Asians, then it's not white supremacy. It's a hate crime. And if anything, you can call it black supremacy, but you can't call it white supremacy because there wasn't even a white person involved. Are we getting it? What I'm saying is factual and logical. The rest of it's all noise and nonsense that you guys have been making up. What I'm saying is cannot be argued. And if it's argued, you can you could literally ask your doctor to see a psychologist because you need help. So, the last question of this all comes down to, how does one be less white? And what button do you press? And this is a good meme. You gotta laugh. You gotta keep laughter. Be less white is the button as the sweat pours down the man's face, or acting black is cultural appropriation. This is the world we live in. It's whacked out beyond belief. And if everybody doesn't just say, hey, this is whacked out beyond belief, I'm not going to accept it. This is the new norm, and it's going to progressively get worse. And everybody that's allowing it is either scared or mentally ill. And everyone else is bending the knee. They're all, you bend the knee like Khaleesi walked in the room. But this isn't like Khaleesi, breaker of change. This is Khaleesi, the psychopath that drives around on a dragon and burns a society to the ground. That's the one everyone's bending the knee to. when I would say, I'd rather die in the dragon fire. Because no, it doesn't make sense. I will not buy it. I will not play this game. It's stupid. So decide what you want to be. Who do you want to be? Do you want to tell people when they make shit up that it's wrong? I hope so. I hope you do. I can't even play this because in typical Facebook fashion, you know what they'll do. They're going to say I played 16 seconds of Danya Don, and they'll block me again. So I'm going to just start it.
A lot of people don't know how to read.
That was the other night. That's Joe Biden, the night that he defended the concentration camps in China and wouldn't talk bad about the endless rapes and basically genocide occurring to Muslims and forced labor. It was just a cultural difference. And if you think otherwise, something's wrong with you. But Joe Biden went on and said that Spanish people and black people, I wish I could hit play, but they won't let me because it doesn't fit the narrative that they want to get out. But Spanish people and black people don't know how to use the internet and computers. Does this guy get a free pass on everything? I can't even believe somebody would say that, and they don't realize that they're making their whole basis on what they believe in their head, which clearly this man lives a very racist situation in his head. And that means everybody of that race, because he thinks that they're uneducated, is not able to work a computer. Nobody seems to be upset about that. If Donald Trump went on CNN and did a town hall meeting and then said that black and Spanish people don't know how to use computers, can anybody tell me that there wouldn't be a fallout to that? If Donald Trump fixed the numbers like Cuomo did about people dying in New York, but across the entire country on a federal level, would he not be impeached and actually removed because there would be actual crimes done as opposed to all the other ones where he actually wasn't in? Not even going to get back to that. Who is okay? Tell me in the comments if you'd like. Who is okay with Joe Biden thinking that all black people and Spanish people don't know how to use computers, but clearly all white people know how to use computers? Joe Biden doesn't know how to speak. Does that mean all old people don't know how to speak or all white people don't know how to speak? No, because that would be a stupid thing to presume. Everybody's different. We all eat, breathe, live, shit. Eat, breathe. It's my little commandments. You can do all of those things. That means you're alive, which means you are a person. You're not a race. You're nothing. You're just a human person. You're a human soul, right? And nothing is predetermined for you. To say this was absolutely disgusting. But to say that, and then you have this. Everybody's telling you to be less white. What the fuck does everybody want? What do they want? They don't even know what they want. They just want to let their anger out. The anger that was installed by the mainstream media right into your head. And they is a very easy word. They, people that believe this shit. So I can break it down on a cellular level for you so there's no mistaking what the fuck I'm saying. People hate white people. And the people that hate them are all people on the left that bought into the brainwash that everything that has happened is because people are white. You're following this level of complete insanity. I hope so, because I need everybody to hear it and understand it. I need you to listen. You are only a racist person and a bad person if you are actually racist by definition. If you look at somebody because of how they appear and you say, oh, that person's black, I think a certain way. Oh, that person's Spanish, I think a certain way. Oh, that person's white, I think a certain way. Then you are racist, and it does not matter what race you are. You can even be a part of that race and be racist because of the beliefs that you hold. But when you're the same race and you think that way, that means you're incriminated. You can only do yourself. It's like a logic loop of explosions inside of a whacked out paradox because you hate yourself. So I'm going to discontinue that thought of the person being in the same race as these people because you just suffer from severe mental illness and there might be medication someday to help you with it. I'm talking about the people that are in different races, having different thoughts about other people, actual racism. The definition before 2020, before the news programs told you, hey, this is what racism is. Racism is you were born white and you're a problem. And that everybody either felt bad for being a problem or really believed they were a problem because they actually think these sick, twisted, racist thoughts. They, in fact, are the problem. The ones projecting that you're racist all the time actually live and breed racism all day long. That's a fact. Everything is seen through some sort of filter of race. It's not how it works, people. Start calling people racist when they're acting racist. Real racism. I've done it. It's very, very freeing. I've told people, actually, no, you're a racist. You're being racist right now. It didn't sit well with people, but I do it all the time. And some people don't even realize I do it. I have, this is a perfect example. It's a real life example. I have an Indian friend who is extremely dark. He's a dark Indian. And another one of our friends referred to him, and does all the time, as a black man on purpose because he's so dark. That is a racist statement. But to furthermore, when I bought pepper spray for self-defense, which is legal in New York State and New York City, as long as you don't get it sold to you here, the response was you should test if that pepper spray works by spraying so-and-so in the eyes since he's black. Again, the guy's Indian and everyone knows it. And this person thinks that they are a moral compass of race relations. And even furthermore, this person has said, and this is an analogy that has to be made. Like, I don't care if this person was to listen and is offended. It's an analogy that has to be made. This person stated to me when I said, I don't think the way you do because I don't see that way in color. It's racist when you do that. To that point, to that level. And that person said, I never said, this is a direct quote, I never said I wasn't racist, I'm just trying to be better. Which means this person's been projecting on everybody the whole time and actually identifies as a racist. But I'm the one that's wrong because I don't agree with that person and harbor racist thoughts. Very, very bizarre world we live in. Unknowingly, Bella, I see you putting comments in and I'm going to check them now because we're about to move topics. So. Skin pigment, this is so insane, what the fuck? Agreed.
That was easy.
How about be a good person? Agreed. I mean, this is basic. This is the stuff that, like, 5-year-olds understand. But we've been dumbed down to a lower level of 5 years old, of being 5 or younger, and then installed with stupidity on top of it. I would like to act as rust orange red sunset color. I don't know if orange is going right now as a high place to identify unknowingly, Bella, because orange man bad, you might be figured to be a Trump supporter if you do that, and you might get beat up in Central Park for holding a Trump 2024 flag. Okay, on Biden, I'm a secure human being and don't care what some highly paid person says. No one's word is bond. Truth. Preach. Let's go to the environment. Oh man, this one's tough. I need a sip of this. Woke politicians are forcing states like Texas to replace fossil fuel power plants with wind turbines that don't work in the ice and snow. Meanwhile, China is building coal-fired power plants at breakneck speed, 247 gigawatts under development. China built 3 times as many coal plants in 2020 as the rest of the world. Interesting. And we're jumping at the bit to join the Paris Agreement again, the Paris Climate Agreement, where we pay all the money and we change everything, and China goes, let's see how many coal power plants I can build while these stupid idiots in the U.S. start lowering their carbon emissions. I don't know what the wake-up call for this is, but maybe we're getting there. If you're from Texas and you ever voted for Joe Biden again after what was done to you, you deserve to freeze to death. And you're going to see why. Because you are actually freezing to death. There's families currently burning their furniture to stay warm. Their own furniture because they have no power. Why don't they have power? Well, we're going to find out. China is pushing a green agenda in America to weaken our nation while they build enough coal-fired power plants to power Germany this year. Soon, every state will look like Texas in February if we continue down this path. Nope, that means you're a right-wing conspiracy theorist. Just accept it. You get that you can freeze these people out of their houses, the people that think like this, and they'll still make up an excuse why they should be frozen to death and eat goo. They're gone. They're just gone, some of them. But some, there's still embers, and I'm going to stoke that fire. Oh, baby, am I going to stoke it. Okay, Texas power crisis thread. Once it was clear that the polar vortex would engulf the entire state of Texas, Governor Abbott declared an emergency and asked President Biden for an EPA waiver to allow power generation facilities to operate at a full capacity until the emergency passed. One would think that's very easy. That's like saying, hey, Florida would like to use all their sandbags to block the houses from flooding during the hurricane. Can we get the waiver for excessive sandbag use waived so we don't all die? And everyone would be like, yeah, of course they would do that. What? No, they wouldn't, because they didn't do that. So here we go. Biden's EPA refused Governor Abbott's request and instead offered to allow certain power generation facilities a waiver if they raised the prices they charge to Texans to more than $1,500 per whatever measurement that is. I think it's megawatt, milliwatt, whatever it is, resulting in massive statewide power outages and a failure of the grid. The grid, of course, that China can now play around in because that was by executive order allowed foreign nations back into our power grid. Awesome. And of course, we already talked about the weather being strange and the weather modification as a possibility. It's plausible deniability. You could say that. It does exist. You could be stupid, but you can Google it. And it's been very public, and it's on all major, even mainstream sources of media. Interesting. Peculiar. The truth is that the federal government controls how Texas generates electricity, the mix of sources, and the capacity of each. The EPA requires that Texas fossil fuel power generators operate far below their maximum output because of the environment, which, great, if that's the way you want to go, cool. Not at the hands of people suffering and dying in an unprecedented winter storm. That should be basic common sense. Governor Abbott knew that if the EPA would allow our natural gas and coal power plants to operate at peak efficiency, they could meet 110% of the demand that the state faced last week. The EPA refused. Sadly, Biden's acting EPA chief, David Huizenga, is not an expert at power generation, but instead an expert with nuclear waste management. When Governor Abbott reached the EPA's refusal, he knew Texas was in trouble and there would be nothing he could do about it. It's a very strange road we're going down right now. My question, why didn't Governor Abbott simply order all Texas power generation facilities to operate at peak efficiency and force Biden to send his army to Texas to stop us? Does anyone think Biden would have sent the army to shut down our national gas and power generation facilities? That's a very good question. It's a very good tweet. It's a very good line of thinking. If I was the governor, I would tell the president at that point, you're not letting my people die. We can fight about this in the open eyes of the public, but they're getting their power. Sorry. Didn't happen. So President Biden refused the request that he sign a major disaster declaration for 177 Texas counties after refusing to allow Texas power plants to operate at 100% capacity during the polar vortex, resulting in massive power outages. 77 counties. 77. That was the only thing that he would declare. The other ones, the other 100, they didn't get declared anything. Is that not very, very frightening to you? They were just left in the cold, literally, and overcharged for any electricity they could get. If President Trump had refused to provide disaster relief for 177 counties, the Texas Tribune would be in each county sharing the stories of average Texans struggling to stay warm, feed their families, and pay their bills. Since Biden refused to provide relief, silence. Everyone just sits back and goes, it's normal to freeze to death. It's normal. It's not normal. What's not normal is that everybody in the year 2021 has turned into just a ginormous sissy. And they're scared to talk. They go, if we're not dead, I guess it's okay. And we'll talk before we die, but they'd be dead because they would have frozen solid. Nobody's putting this together. Some people are having real trouble putting it together. So Biden administration blocked Texas from increasing the power, and Texas begs for help a week before the catastrophic polar vortex, well in advance. Texas asked to temporarily lift regulations on energy output to avoid disaster, and they were refused. Would you say that if they were at full capacity while China's coal burning all over the place, right? If Texas for 1 week went to full capacity while everything was frozen solid, the turbines, solar panels, all that. That everything in nature would be dead? How about this? How about John Kerry and all these people give up all of their private jets? How about Virtue send it, put it into a damn wood chipper? They're not going to. No. You're just going to freeze and eat goo, as per Bill Gates, the computer guy. So here you go. This is the official documents. We're going to just have them up here. Very interesting. You can find these all over the place online. But right here is where you have... That is not what I was trying to click. That was not what I was trying to click. This was. I believe it was in phase 3. 1500. Right there in section 2. 4 lines up from the bottom of section 2. 1500. And they have to declare these things that they're going to go through with it. Do you imagine that? Take that for a second. You're sitting there with your family. There's no food. You're frozen in the house. It's temperatures below 0. The power is out, and it could be turned back on. But the President of the United States and the Department of Environmental Protection says, you can't. Sorry. Meanwhile, there's reports coming out that the U.S. citizens are going to have to find a new way to deal with not being able to heat their homes. And you have people that are so prominent in society right now, like Bill Gates, saying you can't eat meat. And you have wackadoos like AOC in Congress talking about the Green New Deal, which will further reduce every emission as you're sitting there freezing to death because of global warming. And the fact that there is no snow and Florida is going to be engulfed by water 20 years ago, as per the United Nations. And then 10 years ago, as per Al Gore, and then wake up. Climate change is 100% real. We know that. We might be doing things to make it worse. We know that. However, we still have to live here and live. We can't just shut our lives down in the name of Mother Earth and let our people freeze to death. Because that's fucking crazy. That's not real life. That's insano land. And that's because I cursed. And that's the final part of the letter. It's very, very, very bizarre what's going on. But it makes perfect sense because Biden announces the end of Trump's America First agenda in G7 speech. This was part of his whole campaign. The person got 84 million votes. 84 million votes. Running on, I'm going to put us second and behind everyone else we talk to. I don't know what other country that one of the leaders would be expected to put their country last, or would win an election by saying, I promise to make sure to make deals that suck for you. That's how stupid our media has gotten us. Wake up, everybody. That's where we're at. Like, oh my God, you know what? Let's vote the guy in, because the other guy is a white nationalist racist because he was born white and he likes America. We've all gone mad. And people, you talk about little guppies, little goldfish with little baby brains. The hooks are there, and you just keep getting snatched. You just buy. It's like CNN's fishing, and Rachel Maddow's like, I think I got one, and everyone's biting. Man, everyone is biting. So here's a really fun little section about COVID-19. Dr. Fauci says it's very likely safe for vaccinated family members to hug, assuming, of course, I'm assuming this part, that they live in the same house, because he wants you to wear masks and have like air filters and all of this stuff, even if you're vaccinated, right? So knowing that the vaccine is supposed to be very effective, right? You would expect that you'd be able to clearly say that people can hug. But no, instead, it's get the vaccine and it's likely okay for you to hug, but if you're a waitress and you won't get the vaccine, you get fired. So here we go. A woman in New York City loses her server job over COVID vaccine. The same vaccine that Dr. Fauci just said he can't even say you should hug your own family member. But if you have this vaccine, you could easily go to the restaurant and serve somebody. Does that make any fucking sense? If you can't hug your family member, what does it matter if this waitress has the vaccine? Because clearly they're not sure about anything pertaining to the vaccine, because if they were, they would say it's okay to hug your family, and they would say it's 100% fine to go to a restaurant. They wouldn't say wear masks all the time, and they wouldn't be testing people positive that have the vaccine, but they are. Interesting. Well, woman said she was fired from her server job at New York City restaurant over not yet wanting to get the coronavirus vaccine, which the restaurant said was a requirement. Bonnie Jacobson, 34, told Good Morning America she was fired Monday from the Red Hook Tavern in Brooklyn. Fuck you, Red Hook Tavern. Fuck you real good.
That was easy.
After she told management she wanted to hold off because she and her husband are trying for a child and it's unclear if the vaccine could have any impact on that. Well, the vaccine's not FDA approved. Also, Pfizer is just now looking for 4,000 people to test this theory that it's okay to have babies on it. Because none of it's approved. It's not even backed up, but you're forced to have it. I'm going to say I force employers to have my saliva in a vial injected into their eyeball. It's not approved, don't know what it does, but I think it's necessary for me to feel good, and that's how I identify with it. Following the line of nonsense logic, that's what I'm going to start calling it. Nonsense logic, because people actually think this is logical. She said the employees received an email from the restaurant that getting vaccinated was a requirement, and when she said she wanted to wait, she received an email saying, "At this time, your employment will be terminated. We are sad to see you go. If you do change your mind, please do not hesitate to let us know." And the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has said employers can require employees to get vaccinated. There's going to be fallout from this. I guarantee that. And here we go. Everywhere on Instagram today, if you talked about a vaccine on your story, this is what popped up. Approved COVID-19 vaccines have been tested extensively for safety and effectiveness. Source, World Health Organization. World Health Organization? They've never misled anybody or fucked everything up. Last year, at the top of the outbreak, reported whatever was in Chinese state-ran media as fact. No, they never did that. We should believe everything they say. And here's the WHO Director General with Xi Jinping shaking hands, having a good time. It's normal. Very, very normal. So where in the hell did they come up with this? When, my friends, did they find that there was extensively tested and safe for effectiveness when people have only been getting it for a few months and the vaccine trial was only a few months? Hasn't even been around for a year yet. Lockdowns are nearing its 1-year birthday. Interesting, no? Well, go get it and be the test subject if you like. But if you don't want to get it, don't. You are part of an active trial. It's not approved. It's approved for emergency use. You can't sue anyone if you drop dead. That's right. Hard truths, people. Hard truths. Now we're going to this little interesting... Wait. Oh, I didn't fully label all of this, right? Oh, no, I did. Hold on. Okay, yes. We're going to this interesting tidbit. So, are we just not going to talk about the fact that Boogaloo anarchist claimed multiple groups under his command helped storm the Capitol even though they opposed Trump? So, we were talking about Antifa being in there, but there's other things. Let's go to the enlarged version. Dunn, who lives in Virginia, said 3 or 4 groups of loyalists under his command helped storm the Capitol this week amid a mix of rioters who supported Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the election. Okay, so they go through the whole thing. While most Boogaloos are libertarians who largely oppose Trump, they embrace the moment to strike against the government. Okay, so there was more people in that crowd than were normal Trump supporters. There's people from all different avenues, and it needs to be reported because when things happen, they say it's all Trump supporters. And if you look at what this man said, Boogaloos are working overtime to advance their cause. When asked whether Boogaloos had planned the attack on the Capitol, he responded, "Just know there is more to come." So when crazy crap goes down, you can't blame it all on Trump supporters. These people don't support Trump. There's different factions, and to think everything is one way or the other, and there's just a direct contrast. If everything was, hey, you know what? Everyone does think everything is black and white, so this is why this is so easy to pull the wool over the eyes. Because it's black and white. There's actual reality also weaved into what goes on. Fun stats also. Now this is a little interesting. 80+% of DNC women in Congress sought therapy after the Capitol riot. 0% of GOP women in Congress sought therapy. 12% of DNC men in Congress sought therapy. Only one GOP male in Congress sought therapy. Republican, Utah. So there's a huge amount of lawmakers and staff that are seeking therapy after the Capitol riot. What do we find interesting about this, good friends? You know what virtue sending is? Do you know what psyops are? All of this is going on because this is a moment. What I have right here in my hands, right here, this little graphic that I'm basically cupping, cough, right? This moment is when you hear people say never let a horrible thing go untapped for its potential politically. There's always political gain in a disaster. Why is it that all these numbers are through the roof? Because they want it to look that way. Now, granted, some people might actually be very traumatized. But is there a reason that there's a distinct difference between the parties? If you can't put that together, you don't understand how to critically think. It looks very good that everybody's so upset and in therapy. And I guarantee you the one male in Congress who sought therapy also voted for impeachment. That's my guess. I'm going to throw it out there to the wind. I didn't look it up, but that's my guess. So if this actually holds true, it shows exactly what you would plan it to be. It makes for very good optics to keep people in line with, did you see how hurt the people are that we vote for? Everybody is crazy on the other side. And the other side's like, yeah, some shit went down and it's horrible. But they didn't need counseling because some shit went down and it was horrible. And they're adults. Now, here's a fun one. Over 50%, bless you, live studio audience sneezing over there. Over 50% of members of Congress and their staff who have sought therapy over Capitol Hill riots were not at the Capitol during the riots. AOC? Jussie Smollett? This is MAGA country? What? Wake up, people! This is insanity. Is it not? Well, I don't know when it ends, and I don't know when everybody starts calling it out. If anybody wants to know, I'm not going to stop being white. I'm just being myself. And I don't want you to change who you are. I just want you to think. We could disagree too. See, that's normal thinking. If you feel a different way about it, really take some time by yourself. Go into a room, put on some serene, babbling brook. Your Alexa does that. Watch. Alexa, play babbling brook sounds. They're probably doing it right now. And think. I want you to think. The time is now to use your voice and not be canceled indefinitely without being canceled. Call out shit when you see shit. Flush the toilet bowl. Get the crap out of society and don't let it proliferate. This is not okay for people to say racist things to you. It's not okay for you to say racist things to people. This is the real truth. This is the way. I have spoken. We the people are the news. Feel free to share it. Feel free to tell people about it. And please, just use your voice. Or you've been canceled and you've already bowed the knee to the woke mob. It's a really sad place to be. And I will be back on Thursday. I will be back on Thursday. I'm doing Mondays and Thursdays, and I might add other days. The way to know is if you follow me at We the People Are the News on Facebook and Instagram. At We the People Are the News. Of course, we the people are, in fact, the news. Spread the good word. Use your voice. And I will see you all very, very soon. Till next time, everybody. It's okay to be white, it's okay to be black, and it's okay to be every other ethnicity and race that there is in the world. There's nothing wrong with any of it, because to say there is makes you a wild racist. I'll see you soon.